So my name is Jacques Teller. I'm Professor of Urban Planning here at the University of Liège, and we've been working on urbanization and the impact of urbanization on a number of factors, including the impact of urban development on flooding. It's a territory of something like 35 kilometers with a number of small municipalities without much resources to face such events. They don't have the resources to handle this, and in any case the events were so exceptional in scale and in speed that it was totally outside the scope of the municipalities, especially smaller municipalities like the ones that have had to handle this. You have to imagine that you have some municipalities of 5,000 to 10,000 inhabitants in the valley, and they don't have the resources for handling this. So you have three stages. The first stage is prevention and what they could do in terms of evacuation. And there you had a number of differences between the municipalities as regards with the policies and the recommendations they adopted in terms of evacuations. And there it's not necessarily the larger cities that were most reactive. Some smaller cities were more reactive on this stage and could handle this situation better. The second stage is during the crisis, when the water was there and all the communication with the people while they were trapped in their houses. And there you had a lack of communication all along this period, especially for those people living or staying more than 24 hours in their house with 1 meter, 1.5 meters of water in their house and in the streets. And the third step is all the communications and help the people could provide for citizens that had been impacted. And there you had a number of differences between municipalities, and the people really needed more help for handling the problems, the administrative issues, support for contacting the insurances and so on. If it's occurring again, we would be better prepared in any case. So the first stage is to better prepare for evacuation, and also to have another way of handling the territory. The places along, especially the Weser Valley, have been built over the 19th and early 20th century, very close to the river, with some buildings that have their foundation almost within the river, which is of course a huge problem in terms of exposure to the risk. So this is certainly something that has to be changed, adapted when it's possible, to provide more space for the river and more space for the people also in the same time. The space gained for the river should be planned and used so as to have a status of green space that can be used for the people outside flood events. And then you could also have a better handling of all the evacuation and all the period during the flood to provide better and more up-to-date information to the inhabitants. You had a number of initiatives, basically from the public authorities, but what was most impressive was all the efforts that had been done by citizens themselves. And when you speak with the people, it's really this part that has been most appreciated. You had some people traveling 150 kilometers to provide some help, either with a collective organization or either privately. Some citizens that were buying food and providing food to the people affected by the floods. So you certainly have better to do with by the administration, but I think a better collaboration between administrations and self-supporting people would be most beneficial, because in any case public authorities would not have the same resources as the ones of a huge collective of people that can provide some help very rapidly. It's certainly the case that they have to think about how to handle the space around the river so as to avoid the mistakes that have been done previously and correct some of the situation inherited from the Industrial Revolution. And that, I hope, would be done at the collective level. And the private level, I hope that the people will have the opportunity to improve their housing and to better prepare for such events, both individually and collectively.